I am heavy weapons guy. And this is my weapon.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Average Joe, the series where I'll be taking a look at a vehicle and telling you whether or not I believe it's worth the average player's time, or in this case, their money. In this episode we'll be looking at the A10A Early, otherwise known as the Team Killer 9000, also known as God's Washing Machine, also known, you get the gist. The A10 is an American Rank 6 premium sitting at 10.0 in the American aviation tech tree. With that introduction out of the way, let's talk about what this vehicle has going for it, because it really only has the one thing, and that's weapons. So that's what we're going to start with. The A10 is mounted with the GAU-8 30mm cannon, which I'm going to give a very brief overview of, and then I'm just going to show one clip and hope that you get the gist. So basically, this gun has an absurd amount of ammo, has a very good armor pen, and a very, very, very high fire rate. With that being said, just watch the clip. With that out of the way, let's talk about your secondary weapons, because you have a lot of them to pick from. You have dumb bombs, guided bombs, drag bombs, you have air-to-ground missiles, you have air-to-air missiles, some of the best in the game in fact, with it being the A10A, an all-aspect missile that can pull 30 Gs, which has very good range. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to take a lot of advantage with that range, because you're very, very slow, but more on that later. In reality, if you're playing ground battles, I recommend bringing the 6 air-to-ground missiles. If you're playing air battles, I recommend bringing 6 2,000-pound bombs and going for bases, because it's going to be enough to kill 2 bases. Then you can just go sweep the ground for all the ground targets that you see. You also can bring 2 20mm gun pods that can each bring 1,200 rounds each. However, I personally think it's better off just to go get the bases and then go for ground targets with what you have left anyway. Now, really, the biggest problem that this plane is going to actually have to deal with is the fact that ever since the Sons of Attila update, a lot of the mounds of AI targets have been changed to have an actual vehicle as the SPAA now instead of a mobile AAA, which they still don't move around. However, they now have an actual damage model and are very easy to get killed by, as well as the bases now always have 2 of them guarding them, and these things will shoot you down if you do not start dodging their bullets as soon as they see you. My best advice is to stay low and stay fast. Unfortunately though, the A10 cannot do either of those things very effectively. If you stay low, you're basically a free kill for anyone that sees you, and if you stay fast, well, you can't stay fast. The A10 is slower than basically every other jet that it can see, and it's one of the slowest jets in the game flat out. Most propeller planes can actually catch it because of how absurdly bad its acceleration is. There aren't many propeller-powered planes that can actually catch you in a straight line. However, there are still some that, if you're carrying ordnance, are actually faster than you, which is incredibly sad, because at the BR of 10.0, every match, basically every other aircraft in the lobby is going to be supersonic. So there's really nothing you can do against them unless basically they let you kill them. Now, you do have one thing going for you whenever it comes to survivability, and well, it's really 2 things. One of them is a deterrent, and the other one is the fact that you have an absurd amount of flares. You have well over 400 flares, so if you want to set up a thing to auto-deploy them every 3 seconds, go for it. The other main thing is, like I said, it's a deterrent. The AIM-9L, being an extremely effective missile, is going to keep most flareless aircraft away from you. However, if you're like me and my friends who play the Draken and just completely go suicidal against A10s by carrying rockets and not caring, well, you're not exactly gonna live for long, are ya? Now let's talk about the earnings that you're gonna get from playing the A10, because though it is only a rank 6, so it cannot research the entire American tech tree, it does still make an absurd amount of money in RP every match. Without boosters, I average about 15k RP a game in this thing when bombing bases and going for ground targets, and the SL gains are easily going to be over 100,000 every single match that you go for ground targets. The ground targets will typically give more SL, but the bases will give more RP, so pick and choose what you're going to do based off that. With all that out of the way, let's talk about the price and whether or not it's worth that price. So, first off, for $60 USD, you are going to get the A10A early, 15 days of premium, and 2,000 Golden Eagles. Is it worth that price? No. And in my opinion, even when it's on sale, I would still say no, purely because of the fact that the American Tech Tree has way better premiums at very similar battle ratings for either the exact same cost or only a little bit more, and when on sale, that little bit more is going to be even less. In my opinion, if you were looking to buy the A10A, I do not think it's worth it. I would rather go out and get, say, the F5C for an extra $5. It's a rank 7, it's only a 0.3 increase, and in my opinion, it's just a way better vehicle. If you want to see how to play that and whether or not I think it's worth it, I actually have a video on that vehicle as well that came out recently. Ignore the little plug in there. Just overall, I do not think the A10A is worth it, especially when compared to the alternatives. With all that out of the way, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Please let me know if there's any vehicles you'd like to see in the future of this series. Have a good one.